My name is Michael Brennan. I am a financial advisor with Key Financial. I've probably been here technically for 13, 14 years, but also kind of more technically since I was in diapers. My mother started the company when I was born. She started it out of what many people would refer to as their laundry room, moved to the basement, hired a couple more people. Growing up, my basement was nothing but cubicles. Pretty wild telling kids growing up that I would refer to all the workers in my basement, and I never thought anything about it until kids at school were like, "What are you talking about? And you got workers in your basement, and you got a sweatshop going on down there." But anyway, Patty was previously a nurse, an ICU nurse. Crazy story. Became a financial advisor. Built this thing from scratch, all organically. We moved houses, moved from one basement to another basement. Finally bought a building and another building. She's built this thing up from ground one. I do share last names with her, but I am just one of 30 employees. We manage a little over $2 billion, and it's just under, it's one advisor. Patty is the head of the firm. But I am one of her 30 employees that are here to service her clientele, her book of business. We are Key Financial, number one in Pennsylvania, 13th ranked in the country, male, female, independent RIAs. We service individuals, families, generations. But if you trust the likes of Forbes, Barron's, Wall Street Journal, Financial Times, we're year after year top of the line.
That's awesome.
So I'm a financial advisor. I help people achieve their goals financially. I help their children. It's a very holistic approach here. I think that is a lot of where we get our reputation, is the approach that we have. We're not dealing with money. Yes, we manage $2 billion, but we're dealing with people. That's what we are. That's who we service. Very holistic approach. We run the gamut. We don't do in-house estate planning. We don't do actual tax returns, but we go very heavy into those areas. And I do believe that that's a lot of where our reputation comes from, a lot of where the rankings come from. In addition to having, a 99% retention ratio, obviously that's very important. When we get a client, we don't lose them because we service them exceptionally well. Hence the 30 plus support staff to service just Patty's clients. So in addition to obviously having an exceptionally high 99+% retention ratio, we're obviously we're in a state of building. We're constantly growing. Yes, we hit a big goal a couple of years ago of $2 billion in assets. The next goal is $5 billion. So we have a couple of years to build up the infrastructure. So that's really where sort of my time now is really solely focused on bringing in new assets, bringing in new money. We are not yet to the point where, we always make the analogy. We always say there could come a time where sort of the Key Financial arc is full. We have two and two of every animal, and we're going to set sail. That hasn't happened yet, but it could in the future. But we are still very much in a growth stage. We have pretty lofty goals. So I am a part of that. I would focus my goals personally on that new business, new money sort of numbers. So, where the coaching has helped me like take a step backwards. Like, what brings in new money? What's working, what's not working? How do we keep the intensity high, but also do it at a sustainable pace? So a lot of times after, Will and I, after you and I talk, I would be fired up right after the call. I want to take on the world. I want to call 1,000 prospects. I want to go. But a lot of times with me personally, I would have peaks and valleys. I would have highs and lows, and my motivation I would do what I need to do in a day in, day out basis for a day, a week, what have you. And then it would sort of go and I would get satisfied, and I had a great week. I had a great month, whatever. And then it would sort of go. And so I think that coaching has allowed me to keep going at a more sustainable pace. And I'm talking about just I needed help with having systems and programs in place. I desperately needed help with things that I was honestly embarrassed to say that I needed help with. I need my handheld at times. I'm like a child at times, and it was embarrassing. Will always had like a phenomenal way. He would always say, like, the best NBA shooters in the game, they all have shooting coaches. Like, there's a reason for this. There's a reason that people have these things. So I'm embarrassed that I can't. I'm terrible with scheduling. I'm not good at time management. So I need help in these areas. Will's able to sort of quiet things, slow things down, and help put systems and processes into place to ensure success. Again, keeping the intensity high, keep moving at a sustainable pace, and just sort of keep inching forward towards that goal. But I got to say, there's also, I think I originally came into coaching. If you were asking me why I first came into coaching, I needed somebody. I needed a sense of accountability. I needed my hand held at times. I needed somebody to tell me what I'm missing. I need somebody when I'm feeling stuck to say, okay, what's the very next thing that we're going to do? Let's get back to the core of what your values are, what your mission is, and always bring it full circle. But honestly, I got into coaching because I wanted to get to that next level. I have no idea what that next level, what it looked like. I felt that I was lost at sea at times. I need direction, and Will sort of able to bring things back and say, well, where do you want to go? So I needed, we need a compass at times.
What changes did you see professionally or personally when it came to what we were able to build on from coaching?
I mean, I could get emotional here, but honestly, I've never been with a coach before. I've never done any of this, but honestly, I start every day and I end every day with a certain level of self-worth. And I could tell you before, I didn't always have that. I always had this weird view that, my personal self-worth is going to be tied up in the assets brought in. It's going to be tied up in the performance of the day. We're measured by the trophies on the wall, or the awards that we've received, the money brought in, the letters after our name. And Will really helped me, like, on a deeper level to look, like, you're born with your self-worth. There's nothing there's no amount of doors that get closed. There's no level of failure that is going to change your self-worth. I used to leave the building at the end of the day, sorry, and like, what was today good? Was today not good? Like, it would be like a lot of highs and lows based on the production of the day. And I get really caught up in that. One of the bigger things today is I get to walk in my door knowing that I'm doing exactly what I was put on this earth to do. And I leave every day knowing that I just gave it my absolute all. And it doesn't matter how many rejections, how many no's I got in a day. I know that I'm doing the right thing. I'm on track. I just need to keep going. And that was something on a much deeper level. We can talk about technical things. We can talk about sales skills. We can talk about tactics for referrals, but Will really helped me out with some of the deeper rooted things. Like, where do these beliefs come from? What is the thought process that has you thinking that you are? How do you measure yourself at the end of the day? So we got a lot deeper than I ever would have imagined.
How do you feel like that impacted your personal life?
You should ask my wife that question because she's the biggest fan of Will. I mean, and again, it's so much different than what I or somebody would have expected. Like, a lot of times, Will was, yes, coach, sales, keeps me motivated, keeps things at a sustainable level. There's nobody better in the world to give me a quick pep talk, knows exactly what I need to hear at times, but also little things like, how's your wife doing? Like, why don't we get into something? We need to, you need to be going out. Yeah, I have 3 young children. My wife works full time. She's in sales. She's go. She travels a lot for work as well. So just little things, like, you need to have take a lunch date with your wife. Like, that was doing that once a month. Like, it's so simple. But it certainly helped, me become the father that I want to be, the husband that I want to be, the friend that I want to be, the advisor that I want to be, the mentor that I want to be, all of the above. So yes, I could talk about the technicals and the skills and some of the, tactics that Will help me with, but it's tough to measure. It's really hard to I don't have the proper measuring stick or scoreboard to try to quantify exactly how much Will and his coaching helped me throughout my life. Even things, when it comes down to like goal planning, like, yes, it's one thing I have a goal to get these letters after my name. I have a goal to have this level of retention with my clients. I have a goal to bring in X number of dollars, X number of people. I want to service X number of households. That's awesome. But then Will's able to help me like bring it back. Like, why? Are we building? Are we building just for the sake of building? Are we trying to get these numbers up just for the sake of getting numbers up? What does this mean to you? So to be able to take take a goal and really step backwards and be like, what is the point of all this? Because there's going to come times when it gets tough and you need a strong why, which is what Will was also very instrumental in helping me develop. It's one thing to have a goal to bring in $200 million a year, but what is that going to do what is my life going to look like when that happens? It's a whole new thing to say that I am doing this. I'm waking up today and I'm going to do these 10 things really, really good because I have a goal of one day being able to walk home and tell my wife that she can retire and she can stay at home with the children. Like that brings on a whole nother meaning to a goal.
One of the things that I think about Michael is, over our years in coaching, the CFP, and it loomed over you for a long time. And
yeah. So I would say when it comes to, and that was a big thing for me. And I could go a handful of different ways with this. But I could tell you, and I could just full transparency and Will, you're aware of this, but I used to walk in the office every single day. It's a big office, a big sign, doors, all that, nice wood and all that stuff. But I used to walk in with one eye shut because my name wasn't on the door. I didn't have the letters after my name, and it was something that I really was working towards. So I remember Will told me one time, whether you get the CFP, whether you get those letters after your name or not, will not change the way that you feel. But yeah, so I had this big test. I wanted to get the CFP, and I needed, again, it's a lot of self-study. You do this in your own time. It's not like back in the day when a company's paying for you to get your series 7, your series 24, your series 65. It's you study when you have the time, when I'm not trying to work on the business. Again, with 3 young kids at home, I needed a certain level of discipline that I was kind of embarrassed that I lacked. And Will's able, again, I've said it before, but like, I literally needed my handheld. I needed a system of accountability, and I needed to day in, day out help scheduling, but also, again, it sounds childish and it felt silly at the time, but like, I need somebody that I can call at the end of the day and say, this is what I said I was going to do. This is what I did. I needed somebody in my life that I could, I could do it with family members, my wife, whoever, but like it takes on another meaning when I have an independent person that is there and they just care about me. They don't care about anybody else except me. It's my coach. It's very personal to me. So I would say, trying to develop that discipline was extremely instrumental in me passing that test. I will also say that, look, I'm not, never been a straight A student, have never been the most, so I needed help in ways that I didn't realize I needed help in. But also, I think that Will was, I joke that I failed most things the first time that I tried them. I failed the test at first. I did not pass the CFP the first time. And I think Will was really instrumental in bringing me up from a low point. Again, getting back to the self-worth, getting back to who I am, not being defined by certain things. Will was able to sort of bring me out of dark places at times, to be frank. And then also figure out what was missing in my daily schedule, what was missing in my routine, what was missing in why am I doing this? Am I doing it just for excuse my French, but shits and giggles to get some letters after my name? Or am I actually doing this to put me in a position to do what I love, to do what I'm good at, to service more people? And when he helped me develop that why I'm doing these things, when times get tough, it's, again, bring it back to that why, it makes you do things that you wouldn't normally have done. It makes you push through any ceilings. It makes you go when you think you're toast, you think you're kicked. He's helped me at times just kick things up a notch when I'm ready to throw in the towel. I would not be where I am today without Will. I would not have the things I have. I would not be the husband, the father, the coworker, the advisor that I am today if it were not for Will Metscher. I can tell you that right now. To take a step back at times, and you may not realize this, but because when we have our conversations, it's like I call it X number of people today. That results in X number of meetings. That typically, those meetings, if it's 8 meetings a week, what have you, that can result in X number of new dollars coming into the firm. That can result in X number of, at the very least, opportunities to ask for a referral. So it's very quantitative at times, our calls, but then you don't see the other side of things. You don't see me when I go home and I get to go home after I do these things, that the quantitative things that we've discussed. You don't get to see me when I go home and get to be fully there. I get to go home to a beautiful home with a pool in the backyard and 3 beautiful, healthy children. My wife is at home. It's the best thing. My life is beyond my wildest dream. You don't see the freedom that our coaching has given me on a daily basis. I report numbers back to you. You act as a sounding board. You help me through tough times. You help me hit numbers. You help me with this, but you don't get to experience. And I love this opportunity for me to be able to tell you, Will, that what you have given me, the freedom, when I go home and I get to fully be there, I get to fully be the husband, the friend, the father that I was meant to be. That's what you give me. So it's cool. You don't always realize it at the time, and it comes in different ways. It's a beautiful thing, and we don't always realize the residual effect of what we're doing on a day-to-day basis. But there's the more that I think about it, it's like, God, I'm so far, I'm so much farther along than where I was 5 years ago. Obviously, you hope that I'm not in the same place, but I really do owe a lot of what I have today to you, Will. So thank you for that.
You're welcome.